This is KGW News at noon.
Well, NBC News just wrapped up their special coverage here this afternoon. That followed President Biden addressing the country to discuss the latest on how his administration plans to deal with the surging Omicron variant. The big change that the president talked about is expanded access to testing. The federal government is setting up new testing sites, and starting next month, free at-home COVID test kits will be mailed to any American that requests one. In fact, the White House is preparing to send out as many as 500 million of those kits. Welcome to this brief edition of the News at Noon. I'm Drew Carney. The CDC says Omicron now accounts for more than 73% of all new COVID cases, overtaking Delta as the dominant COVID variant.
You're dealing with a virus that has an unprecedented capability of spreading extremely rapidly. We've really not seen anything like this before. It has a doubling time of about 2 days.
That was Dr. Anthony Fauci talking about Omicron. U.S. health experts are still trying to determine that is the severity of the variant. But Dr. Fauci already on the record saying Omicron seems less severe, but also more contagious. Meanwhile, Texas reported the first Omicron-related death in the U.S. The Harris County Public Health Department, which serves Houston, says the man who died was unvaccinated, older than 50, and had contracted COVID twice. Officials said he also had underlying health conditions. Well, we know trying to find a COVID test right now in Oregon or Washington can be a real challenge. Supply is limited, and health experts say rapid tests will only be harder to come by as Omicron spreads. We had a crew out looking for tests yesterday at some of the big name pharmacies like Walgreens and CVS. In Portland, online appointments for a drive-through COVID test were almost non-existent, and at-home rapid tests were sold out in all but one location that we checked. Experts say if you can get one, an at-home test is just as effective as long as you follow the directions closely.
The swabbing, I call it rubbing and rolling, 15 seconds each side, kind of no joke, really picking up the lining of your nose there and not hurting yourself. You do not have to hurt yourself. You just have to do it with purpose.
It is not a case of no pain, no gain in this case, right? Walk-up rapid tests were available on Monday at the Oregon Convention Center, but there was a line. The healthcare startup Curative has other locations for testing, and appointments are available around the Portland metro area. 2 local cases of the Omicron variant have been detected in Clark County. It was just last week that all schools in Clark County paused their wrestling programs. Health officials have traced at least 200 COVID cases to a handful of wrestling tournaments in Washington earlier this month. 34 of those cases involved wrestlers and coaches from schools in Clark County, and one of those 34 is confirmed as an Omicron case. Clark County's medical director spoke about recent Omicron projections from the University of Washington.
They're estimating that more than 50% of the recent specimens submitted are likely to be the Omicron variant, but we don't know that for sure. We just know that it is increasing rapidly in Washington state as it is increasing rapidly elsewhere.
Clark County had a special Board of Health meeting this morning, taking public comment on the suspension of wrestling activities until after the start of the new year. A former Multnomah County deputy who was accused of stealing blank COVID vaccination cards will resign from his job as part of a plea agreement. Robert Haney appeared in court today to plead guilty, and as part of his plea deal, Haney has to resign from the sheriff's department as well as serve 6 months probation. The judge also added a $500 fine. An investigation found that Haney made a photocopy of a co-worker's vaccination card and filled in the blank cards with that person's information. He said he planned to give those cards to family members. All right, before we check in with Rod Hill for a quick weather update, we want to give you the latest on that mudslide that has shut down Highway 126 outside of Florence. So the highway has been closed now in both directions for nearly 20 hours. These photos we're showing you are from ODOT. It really shows the damage there. It's basically 200 yards of mud and trees and rocks that slid all across the road. So ODOT is cleaning up that area, and ODOT says it hopes to have both directions of 126 back open later today. That's your messy weather setup, Rod.
Yeah, Drew, they had a lot more rain down in Salem and south through Albany, Eugene than we had up here. I'll show you some of those figures coming up in a moment. I do want to give you the update on the snow scenario for Christmas weekend. I haven't made any what I call significant changes to the forecast since earlier this morning. Cold enough for snow in some elevations, maybe all the way down to 200 feet going into Christmas morning. Other scenarios say, well, not so fast. Maybe it's 36 degrees when you wake up Christmas morning and you have to get up above 500 feet to find anything on the ground. All models show air cold enough at sea level, that's downtown Portland, of course, for all snow, whatever's falling, Saturday night through the day Monday. And we think this will be an active showery period, so accumulations would be at least a couple inches sticking on the ground with freezing temps to maybe as much as 6 inches stack up through the day Monday. There's still an outside chance that the forecast models in the next couple of days will latch on to kind of a snow burst as some sort of a little mini snowstorm event, but right now nothing concrete showing up on that. So keep yourself updated, especially if your plans over the holiday weekend have you traveling. All right. What about those rain totals from Saturday afternoon ending last evening? Let's start north. Vancouver, just over 2.5 inches. This is the total for the month of December so far. All these December totals are now above normal for the entire 31-day period. Portland at 2.56. Then you jump down to Salem. Nearly 4 inches has fallen, and you're now over 7.5 inches for the month of December. And there are amounts when you get down into Eugene and Lane County where those totals went over 4 inches. So, yeah, we're lucky, I think, that we didn't have more issues than we ended up having. Anyway, enjoying the dry weather today. The next weather system is parked offshore. The clouds are going to be continuing to increase on us this afternoon. So if you've had some sun this morning, you're going to be losing that, and showers on track to come in this evening. Looking off to the west from the Reserve Vineyards and Golf Club out in Loa, it's now just overcast and 40 degrees. If you go to the east side, we still have some sun here. This is Camas Meadows Golf Course, but the winds or the clouds will be coming. We still have some east breezes coming out of the gorge, by the way. All right, 42 in Portland. 46 overcast at 4 p.m. and then the showers will be here this evening, as I mentioned. Here's the way Futurecast shows it. 8 o'clock this evening, there's the first wave of showers coming in, maybe in the 7 o'clock hour, and then scattered showers overnight. And then we get into tomorrow. Tomorrow looks like we become quite unstable. So that's the reason for these downpour areas, the orange and the yellow colors that you see. There's noon, pretty wet overall, big chunk of rain maybe coming through around 5 o'clock, and then more rain tomorrow overnight. The cold front that was on track to come in tomorrow evening now looks like it might not come in until after midnight tomorrow overnight into Thursday morning. Forecast numbers today, 3 p.m. continuing to be dry through the daylight hours. 50 in Newport, about 40 out in John Day, and 40s up and down I-5. Here come my 7-day numbers. I've literally just tweaked a couple of temperatures, and that's it. May not make it to 47 this afternoon. Maybe only going to be 44, something like that. We stay steady tonight with the rain coming down, 40 or better, 49 tomorrow. Could be over half of an inch of rainfall. Thursday, showery. Friday, rain picks up. In the morning hours, could be steady rain. And look at Friday's temps, 38 to 42. Christmas Day, I still think we're in the 30s all day with at least the potential that we get some snow down to sea level. And then likely snow showers sticking on the ground Sunday into Monday. That's your 7-day forecast. Here comes Drew Carney.
All right, Rod, we're going to cover one more story here for the news at noon. We're talking about Portland's Lloyd Center Mall. We do have more details right now to share with you about the mall. So we're going to take some video right now that we can share this story with. We're talking about small business owners at the mall learning yesterday that a major part of the mall could stay intact. Seattle-based developer Urban Renaissance Group shared that it's been handed the job of renovating Lloyd Center. So their plans include creating residential and office space, but the plans also include keeping mall features like the ice rink and some retail spaces. That's welcome news for David Ferguson. He's the owner behind Joe Brown's Caramel Corn.
I'm starting to see some changes, so I'm totally confident in staying here and happy to be here. Like I said, we'll never go anywhere as long as they don't force us to.
Urban Renaissance Group is partnering with New York-based KKR Real Estate Finance Trust. The lending company took ownership of Lloyd Center after the mall fell a year behind on payments to take care of its $110 million debt. And that does it for today's edition of the News at Noon. We'll close out the show with this live look at Mount Hood. Rod Hill will join you tomorrow morning with his latest snow forecast, so tune in to Sunrise starting at 4:30 a.m.